Welcome to the Pharmacy Residency Podcast, a member of the Pharmacy Podcast Network. Today we're going to talk about residency templates, and there's a bunch of them that you'll need, and I wanted to kind of talk about what I've been doing since I took this kind of break from the last residency season. So now's when it really starts. So we're in June. Residents are going to get into their residencies in the next couple weeks. And new students are just getting into their first APPEs or APPEs, and now we can kind of talk about what you're going to need as you kind of move on. So one of the first things I had to do was I had to build the Pharmacy Residency Podcast website. I did kind of have one. It was the original Libsyn one, but what I've done is I've just said, okay, well, I'm just going to make a WordPress site so I can kind of put everything there so that when I speak to someone, like I'm speaking at Phi Delta Chi National, I can put materials for that talk and things like that there. I'm going to be speaking at the SNAFA National Convention. I can also put materials there so that I can always say, hey, the stuff that you'll need for my talk or the things that I want to give you are going to be here. One of the most popular things that I do, because I have an undergraduate degree in English, and I really actually have quite a bit of graduate work in English as well, but is the templates. Everybody loves the templates. So the first part that I kind of want to go over is the new website and just where to find these. So right now we're just going to focus on templates. I'll mess with the rest of the website in other episodes, but pharmacyresidencypodcast.com/templates. And if you want to kind of keep getting updated, please join the email list. I'm going to be sending out now podcast episodes every week on that email list, but I'll also be sending updates and where you can find documents and all the things that you're going to need as you need to apply. And you say, well, it's June. You don't worry about residency until September, October, November. Well, you really want to start early. The numbers are clear that pharmacy schools are now actually increasing enrollment, and it looks like there's going to be no slowdown to the number of people applying to residency. So the residency odds are very dependent on where you go to school. I know that many people say, well, it's a 50-50, but that's absolutely not true. Where you go to school matters more than anything else, to be honest. And then we kind of go from there. But every pharmacy school sends residents. So how high you have to be in your class or where you rank is really important. So let's get back to the templates. So first, if you want one-on-one help with residency letters of intent, that is kind of my thing. I don't remember what the book is, but there's a book that basically says, figure out what you could be the very best in the world at. And I am probably one of the very best in the world at helping someone with their residency letter of intent, pharmacy residency letter of intent. So that is a very, very, very niche situation. But if you want one-on-one help, there's a course, and then I work with you one-on-one to build your original template. So while these templates are going to help you with a number of things, what your goal is, and sometimes the goal is misunderstood, but your goal is not to write a residency letter of intent. Your goal is to set up a process where you can write 12 to 18 residency letters of intent at the highest quality, at the highest individualization, and that will ultimately result in you getting interviews. And that's kind of the goal. But one-on-one help, that's where you would go. And it's that residency.teachable.com/p/courses. So let's go to the first one, which is the letter of intent template. And these are the videos right now. I have to put in the documents, and I'm still figuring out how I want to do that. WordPress is really good as far as a great website, but in terms of actually storing documents, I may actually need to just use the PDF plugin or maybe even a Word document plugin. So it's kind of a pain, where what I might do is just I've got residencytemplates.com. I can just use that site as the repository for the actual template. So I'm still kind of thinking about that and how that's going to work. Okay, so let's go to the first one, which is the residency letter of intent template. This template is just going through the letter of intent and kind of the 5 pieces of it. Your clinical, your teaching, your service, and things like that, and really kind of gives you an idea. What does a letter of intent look like in the first place? And the reason that I recommend doing it now is because letters of intent are really a reflection of where you want to go. And as you're writing it, you'll be like, well, gosh, I did want the prestige, but as I'm kind of going through this, it really doesn't feel right. And a lot of it is subjective. You're going to be like, oh, I don't know if I do want to go there. Some residencies ask for essays, so I made a template that kind of helps you get through the essay and understand the way that you have to write an essay to make sure to completely answer the question. If you're looking for a job or you're maybe PGY1 going on to PGY2, I have a cover letter template that I wrote. Then if you're thinking about CV right now, Arizona has a pretty decent one. University of Arizona School of Pharmacy has a decent one. The kind of gold standard is the UCSF CV template. It's pretty amazing. But that being said, you really have to have a lot of stuff. And what I mean by that is a lot of detail. So it's kind of overwhelming for a lot of people. But I can look at a CV and say, oh, that's a UCSF student. The template is kind of so... it's just, you can just tell it is. And you'll see the difference when you look at the detail of those 2 templates. Residency application, there's some kind of things that come up. So if you want to accept a residency interview, you want to say the right things in the right order, not insult anyone. Phase 2, there were some things that you wanted to do during phase 2 to make sure that kind of got that email out there and weren't too pushy, but at the same time saying, hey, I'm interested. Looks like you got a spot. I think we'd be a good match. Residency late transcripts and recommendations. This always happens because the colleges of pharmacy are closed during the period in which you're supposed to get your transcripts in, and then you can't control the recommenders. So you were kind of apologizing for them without being rude. And then the residency project abstract. This I'll be talking about soon as you start thinking about your residency projects. And this is going to happen in about the 2nd or 3rd month of your residency. All of a sudden you're just kind of into it, and then you realize, oh my gosh, I have to present at ASHP, and then I have to present regionally. What am I going to do my project on? How do I develop that abstract? And it's amazingly hard to do those 300 to 500 words and to get everything you want to say right. And so I created it. So anyway, I just wanted to let you know the pharmacyresidencypodcast.com is going to now be the home base for everything. So whether it's the courses, you can go to residency.teachable.com, but I'll have links at pharmacyresidencypodcast.com. And then the courses, just in terms of what I'll be talking about. The interview is something that is absolutely terrifying to some people. So I created a course that focuses on the point system, and it's really not what you think. Everybody pictures this kind of, okay, I'm going to go in for an interview and they're going to judge me on the interview, and I'll either rank high or low. But it's actually a triple interview. There's the interview, which you're thinking about. There's the presentation, where you present a clinical case. And then there's actually, or you present, and then there's kind of a clinical case that they give you. And each of those parts is almost a third. So that whole, let's see if they like me, let's see if we're a good fit, that is one of the smaller parts of it. A lot of times the clinical cases actually count the most. And that makes sense. You're applying for a clinical job, so you have to be able to solve clinical cases. And so that's why when I talk about APP order, it is absolutely critical that you get some of those clinical ones before you're interviewing, because what's going to happen is when you get into the interview, and I'm kind of digressing a little bit, but when you get into the interview, you're not going to sound like a resident. And what I mean by that is you've got some people that are doing like these really intensive preparatory clinical, segments at the same hospital. So you're doing like internal medicine, critical care, cardiology, and those people are so clinically minded now, they sound like a resident. But if you're not doing those till later and you're kind of doing a bunch of electives first, it's very hard to have that clinical kind of acumen and talk. The LOI, that's kind of my specialty. So what I do is I help you build that first template, and then you can kind of build the other ones for the other sites later. And then I've got a little CV course that can kind of help you craft that if that's something that you want to kind of take the next level on. And something you may not think about, as you're preparing for those residency interviews, I've got a little pharmacology class that I use for my classes as kind of a refresher. But anyway, let's get back to the templates and pharmacyresidencypodcast.com. So as I'm building these, I'm going to need some help. And so if you want to kind of volunteer to help me with just one piece, I don't want it to be overwhelming, just something that you care about, something that you like. So whether it's I'm working on, okay, well, what books does somebody need? Okay, so how do we develop that site to make it good UX, which is a good user experience? So something like this, I would check this on desktop, as you can see here, but I go on my mobile app and I say, okay, well, is this going to be really easy? Okay, so I can, kind of click on it and everything's, comes up really easy for the person who's looking at it, whether it's tablet or desktop or mobile or whatever it is. And so if you want to help me out with this website, kind of get a little more depth on a specific area of residency that you are interested in, just shoot me an email at tonythepharmacist@gmail.com. Probably the easiest way to get in touch with me, and just say, hey, I think I'd be interested in helping with blank. But go to pharmacyresidencypodcast.com, kind of figure out where you feel like you would fit in or what you want to kind of work on. Do you want to work on a piece of one of the courses to help with interviews and letters of intent? Do you want to work on a podcast episode where you want to highlight maybe something that your school is doing? I may even think about getting a co-host this year. It's just kind of overwhelming. And then, okay, well, I've always wanted to do writing. Okay, well, do you want to talk about the books? Or maybe the APPEs. I have an academic APPE where students teach in my courses, and they can kind of really, really check one of the boxes off that a lot of students can't. And then the templates. Maybe you want to be part of kind of understanding what it's like to have that great template to get you going. The best analogy I can give you is with the residency application process. And let me kind of put that up. Is that it's a lot like buying a house. And when you buy your first house, that's a couple $100,000, and it's really tough to get out of. That's a really big deal if you mess it up. And the same thing with the residency. When you miss getting a residency in your first year, one, it's devastating, and that you didn't get your job, and now you've got to go look for a job with 4,000 other people. But the other part of it is that you lose 50% of your chance to get that job now. So when we talk about odds, the odds of someone graduating in the current year are double of the person who's graduating in a year ago or later. So again, you really want to hit it on your first try if residency is something that you want in your future. All right. Well, hope this is helpful. pharmacyresidencypodcast.com. You want to volunteer, help me out. tonythepharmacist@gmail.com. I'd be happy to work with you. I don't have any APPE students in this block, so talk soon.